We're going to start off with the very first race at the festival, and it's the Supreme Novices Hurdle, and this promises to be a cracking opening race. And I'm going to start with Ian Amond on this one, because Paddy Power's prices here, as you will have seen on your sheet, is Envoy Allen is the 2-to-1 favourite. Now, most people believe that he'll be one of the Irish bankers for the first race on the Tuesday, the Ballymore Novices Hurdle, but I think ground dependent, there is a possibility in that he could actually switch and maybe run in the Supreme Novices. You've been in touch with somebody that told you today that the ground is very, very testing at the moment there.
Yeah, Ollie Murphy's walked the track over there and he said it's very testing, so it was only the last day or two Gordon said if the ground does come up very soft he might just change his mind and run a minute, but it'll be a last minute thing, I suppose, to see how the ground is.
Of course, the good thing at the moment is that an awful lot of the bookmakers are going non-runner, no bet. So
exactly, if you have something on him now and he doesn't run, you get your money back anyway. But look, if he doesn't run, we have a very good horse in it already anyway in Abracadabra, so if he doesn't run, we have a good backup plan.
But in an ideal world, the selected race for him was the Ballymore Novices, being 2.5 mile would probably be his ideal selected race.
I'd imagine if you'd have your money on it now, he'd be in the Ballymore, yeah.
And he's in great form.
He's in great form. We walked yesterday in Leopardstown. He might have maybe one more bit, but he's ready to rock then, yeah.
Okay, now a very interesting combination there, Ronan. Joe Donnelly's got 2 in this race. Nicky Henderson's Shishkin, and Willie has Asterin Falange. Little bit surprising that having 2 good horses like that, they're going to take each other on.
Yeah, I think it's very sporting from Joe Donnelly to say. I think he said to Willie, basically run whatever you think, and Willie was gung-ho to run Asterion Falange here. To be honest, looking at the betting there, I think Asterion Falange should definitely be favourite on what the pair of them have done. You look at Asterion Falange, he's won a Grade 1 at Leopardstown, he gone off in front, set really good pace and just kind of outstayed everything from the front. Shishkin, look, he showed a very good turn of foot. I think at Huntingdon it was, but the level of form is completely different to what Asterion Falange has achieved. Frank will tell you in a while, but I think that I can see them flip-flopping on the day and Asterion Falange going off favourite. You look at Willie's record in the Supreme as well, and you compare that to Nicky Henderson's. I think he's had 34 losers or something in the last 15 years or so, and things, horses like Sprint to Sacra have got beaten in the Supreme for Nicky Henderson. I just think with Willie's record and the fact that he was so gung-ho, Asterion Falange goes for the Supreme, and he's like a lot of Willie's winners of the Supreme, and he goes out in front like Classical Dream last year, like Vitor. He's real simple. You go off in front, he'll set a really good pace, he'll stay up the hill. I think it'll be a very good horse that beats Asterion Falange there. I think 7-2 is a fairly good price.
You sound very enthusiastic about his
That's
chances.
my bet at the meeting already, so I can probably go home now.
Got to be terrible to be coming home now about 2:45 on the Tuesday. No, he's been very impressive. Brendan, do you like the grey horse of Willie's, the way he won at Naas in Leopardstown?
Yes, I think he is a class act. He's a 6-year-old. I think he is the one they all have to beat. A horse that I have a high regard for as well is Fiddlerontheroof for Colin Tizzards. I thought he was very impressive in the Talworth. They put him away for this race. But I would be sticking with Willie's horse. I think he's the one they all have to beat. But I wouldn't completely rule out Tizzard's horse. And I know that Robbie Power really likes him as well.
Yeah, he's had a very good season, Fiddlerontheroof. But David, I think quite a few people thought that Willie might go a bit further than 2 miles with this horse. I wonder, is he going for the Supreme because he wants to dodge maybe Envoy Allen in the Ballymore? He looks like a horse that wouldn't have any problem staying further.
Yeah, it looks a good call out of Willie, maybe to go for the Supreme. Envoy Allen looks untouchable, to be honest. You know, and it's very sporting of Joe Donnelly as well. He could have had Shishkin in the Supreme, Asterion in the Ballymore, and the big getaway in the 3 mile. So fair play to him for giving us a good show if the two of them do turn up there. But I'm maybe Ian will tell you a good bit more. But Abracadabras, I thought if Envoy Allen is 2-1 and Abracadabras is only 2 lengths behind him, I think he should be a lot shorter than 11-2, and It looks like he's buying money each way to me.
Abracadabras each way for you.
And what the rest of them have done, yeah.
Frank, taken that we believe Envoy Allen will probably run in the Ballymore, what way do you think the market will work out? Ronan thinks that Asteria for Launch will probably flip-flop and end up favourite. Do you share that view?
I would disagree with him. I was going to expand on what Ronan said. Like, Nicky has that type of horse nearly every year in the Supreme, that sexy turn of foot horse, and I've been burnt on numerous years backing them and getting turned over. I just have examples of ones that went off under 10-1, like Angel's Breath, River Wild, Lammy Surge. My 10 to yours is beating a 15-8 after winning the Betfair Hurdle on the bridle. It's just the same type of horse, and Shishkin is the same. He reminds me a little bit of, I know Buford there ended up winning a champion hurdle, but he finished third in the Supreme Hurdle. He won a Newbury Maiden Hurdle very similar to how Shishkin did, and won the same race and hunted in the Sydney Banks on the bridle as well. Just Willie's record in the Supreme is unbelievable. Like, even if you go to Asterion Phalange's point to point, he beat Assemble easily, and Assemble's rated 140 now. So, like, he showed potential from the start. Like, the only day he wasn't impressive was in Thurles, where I think the track would have been against him. It was too sharp. I think he's definitely the one to beat. Fiddlerontheroof definitely have a chance, but if the ground dries out, it'll probably compromise his chance. Asterion Phalange looks very straightforward, and I think he'll take a lot of beating.
I think the two of yours are talking too much together. I think you're very, very strong on his chances. Obviously, Envoy Allen, obviously he'll go for the Ballymore, all things considered. So Asterion Phalange will be a big one for the Irish, I'd say, to get into in the very opening race. So that'll be a very interesting opener. A lot of money will exchange hands on that very first one. Thomas, do you share the lads' view?
Yeah,
a lot of support for Asteria Phalange, but it's funny that the man from Willie's here is tipping Gordon's other one.
Yeah, well, just saying that I was a massive abracadabras from the start of when we done the podcast, but I just fear that maybe the ground, if Ian's saying that the ground is very soft, I don't know, abracadabras be in love with that.
Probably wouldn't be in love with it, but I think he'd get away with it. I think David thinks the same. I think he's one of our, at the price he is, he's a cracking each way bet. His form is rock solid, all his runs are rock solid. Some people think he mightn't get up the hill, but to me last year he got racing a bit far out with Envoy Allen, and if you're getting racing with the likes of Envoy Allen, you're going to suffer at the end of it. I think at the price he is now, Envoy Allen probably won't run, and at the price he is now, he's a cracking each way bet.
Okay, difference of opinion there for a couple of them, but the lads seem to be very strong on Willie's horse, Asterion Phalange.